Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of the British Sitcom History Podcast.
Ooh.
I'm Gareth, and with me, as always, is Alan.
Hello.
And today, I suppose I'm interviewing you because you've just been to see...
Fawlty Towers, the play.
Fawlty Towers. You went to... So in London's fashionable West End, you went to
Yes.
see the all-new stage version of Fawlty Towers. How long's it actually been running now?
Well, you say all new there, Gareth.
I see.
All new. But also, yeah, it was opening night of its show in the West End at the Apollo Theatre.
How did you get tickets to
the
opening
first
night? So you some sort of special person?
No, I just bought tickets when they came.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good, does it?
So yeah, but I thought I'll get in early,
Yeah.
and then I can be right at the crest of the wave there.
Well,
I like to be.
You posted something on Twitter, which I retweeted through our account, which was you basically recorded a little video outside just as you were about to go in, and you said, "Well, I'm going in with an open mind, but I'm expecting it to be rubbish." It didn't feel very open-minded.
Well, okay. So, Fawlty Towers, a play version of Fawlty Towers. What do we really expect?
Greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay. So, this Fawlty Towers play, it's a version of a play they did in Australia in 2016.
All right.
That's where this began, and they kind of did a nice little successful run there.
I don't remember reading that in any of the publicity that surrounded it.
They have not been touting that particularly, but it was the case, yeah. But also, in that between time, in the 8 years since that happened, we've had Only Fools and Horses, the musical, have a great success on the West End. And if you look in the creatives list of Fawlty Towers, there are a lot of people who were involved in Only Fools and Horses, the musical, in one way or another.
But this is not a musical, is it?
It is not even a musical. They haven't even bothered to do that.
To write some songs, yeah. But when you went to see Only Fools and Horses, apart from the obvious addition of show tunes, you said it was a kind of greatest hits type arrangement, crowbarred into a plot.
It was a bit like, oh, remember this bit? Yeah, and kind of just smashing a few plots together. Yeah. I had the feeling, and I feel the same way about Spamalot in some ways, which is obviously there's some correlations here. Now, when Eric Idle did Spamalot, obviously added loads of songs, they added lots of stuff. It wasn't just here's some, but it definitely had the whiff of, do you want to see some actors do sketches off of Monty Python that you've seen a million times before? Here you go. That's the feeling I get. That's the open mind I go in with to these things.
Yeah.
I don't quite get it. I don't really understand the appeal of seeing things you've seen before and watch on DVD every now and then. And it's not like going to see the Rolling Stones doing something. It's like going to see a Rolling Stones cover band doing something because it's not the original people. Like, like the League of Gentlemen, for example, have fairly recently done, oh, hey, look, we'll do some old sketches for you. And it's like, great, I want to see like middle-aged Mark Gatiss and doing the old bits. That's all right, I get it. But watching other people do it?
That's a really good point, actually, yeah. Yeah, this is fake that and not take that.
Yeah. So, okay. That's my general view, but what about Fawlty Towers, the play specifically? I went in.
So,
with a
open
closed
mind. Tell me all about the open mind. That's the open mind with which Alan approached this. Now, tell us what you've found.
Well, first of all, I found that I was at the front of the balcony, on the front row of the balcony, couldn't see a thing. Because
again, you posted a picture of this on Twitter, and it was a terrible view.
That picture that I posted up on our Twitter was literally, if I sat back in my chair, that is what I could see. I literally just held the camera up in my face. And it's the front shelf of the balcony. And if you lean over, then you can see the lighting rig quite well. So I really had to literally lean over the top of the balcony to be able to see. And we even checked that we weren't blocking the view of the people behind us before we did it, because we thought it might just be annoying. But that's okay. Look, basically I could see from a very lofty height. I could see the top of people's heads.
I know we're here to review the content, but the important question is, was that a cheap seat? How much did it cost?
It was relatively cheap seat. What was it? About 25 quid, I think.
Oh, that's okay.
And I bought it as soon as they came out.
I'd expect to pay 25 quid in Yorkshire, never mind that London, but I would also expect to be able to see the stage.
I just don't really... And these are old theatres, right? And I just don't get why have seats where you can't see the stage. It just seems a bit odd. Just don't put those in. Oh, well, you can sell them for 25 quid, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, look, this is my life. I haven't got that sort of money to be chucking about on things, but I could see. I leaned forward. I could see the show. I was a bit high, but basically, you're losing the sort of subtlety on the faces of the actors a little bit, but not a lot of subtlety to be required.
I was just going to say it's fairly big, isn't it?
I'll tell you what I could see from my balcony seat though was just as the lights came down and the show began, John Cleese and a woman who I did not identify being brought in to the box that was within my view because I was above. So he was there.
Yeah, opening night.
And he watched the show. Yeah, and so they snuck in just as the lights came down, and then he came out just before the lights came up and all that, so he wasn't causing a distraction, I suppose, is the idea.
I suppose that's fair.
But yes, he was there. Didn't hear him laughing uproariously or anything, but there we go. So the show itself, okay. Let me quote to you from the little bit of publicity spiel that has been chucked about all over the place.
Yeah.
These are John Cleese's words, and they've got this printed on the side of the theatre, right? So this is their selling thing, right? I've adapted 3 of my favourite episodes for the stage and written one huge finale, which will bring together the endings of all 3 episodes. So that they're selling it on that.
They're selling it 3 episodes
smashed together
with a bit of cursory written added material at the end.
Yeah, so they're not hiding what it is.
Fair enough.
That is exactly what it was. It was 3 episodes, and I also, when I posted that video on Twitter, I did work out which 3 episodes it was going to be just based on the cast list, because the characters.
You said Mrs. Richardson was in it.
Yeah, so that's Communication Problems, The Hotel Inspectors, which is the one with Bernard Cribbins in it, and The Germans, of course.
Of course.
Which is everybody's favourite episode, even though it's the worst one in the entire
Yeah, it's not that good, and the Germans aren't in it until right at the end.
Yeah, but it had the fire drill bit as well. They had all that. Now, the big finale that ties everything together, I don't know if maybe I blacked out and missed that, but as far as I could tell, it just ended with the end of the...
end of the Germans.
Yeah, pretty much. So, obviously it's not literally 3 episodes back to back. There is a little bit of adjoining material and tinkering to make it all work, but very little. Let me put it this way, Gareth. If you said to me now, I need a Fawlty Towers play tomorrow morning, this is what I would come up with. It's the absolute lowest possible effort adaptation from screen to stage.
Wow.
Why not hire someone, a writer, to put something together?
Speaking of writers, what was Connie Booth involved?
I'm sure she's got a check in the mail, but no, not creatively, no.
Okay.
As far as I know. So anyway, the problem with that, other than it's lazy, is that you're basically getting these half-hour arcs and things where there's no consideration to overall structure or to character flow or anything like that. So you basically got Basil Fawlty. Oh, he's frustrated, he's angry, and then he's still frustrated and angry, and then he's still frustrated and angry. And if you remember when we talked about the show, like I'm not a huge fan of Fawlty Towers, but I kind of gained a bit of respect for it from watching it rather than a like. And you kind of lose all that aspect of it here because it is just the character traits of like, oh look, now he's screaming.
They've Spamalotized it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that are good about Fawlty Towers, the things that are humorous about Fawlty Towers, were diminished here, not lost. And then the overall kind of plot arcs were just swimming in this bigger picture that didn't get painted. And you're losing these connecting tissue as well. And then there's a bit where the major gets a gun and is going to go shoot a rat because that's just sort of dropped in with no real elegance or anything. So it was just a bit like, ugh, what's the point of this? And it didn't feel like it had been considered how this will work as a 2-hour play.
Well, that's not what it is, Alan. I mean, like you said, in the publicity material, they're not pretending it's anything other than, here is some great Fawlty Towers material that you enjoyed.
And it's a shame, because I think, you could do a lot better.
But yeah, you said earlier, why not get in a writer to take this intellectual property, these well-beloved characters, and do something new and interesting with them?
Someone who cares, someone who has passion for it, someone who is a fan and wants to create something, not John Cleese, basically, is what I'm saying. He obviously doesn't care. Having said that, he was involved. He was, not in name, but it seems in practicality, a co-director. And he has been involved in the casting process and everything. He was there on opening night. I spoke to one of the actors after the show. I won't say which one, just in case I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But they were very lovely. They said it was a great experience and everything like that. But then they said, well, we've got to go back in. Apparently John Cleese has notes for us. So I will say as well, Obviously, I'm very familiar with Fawlty Towers. I've watched it fairly recently. My friend, I went with a friend, and she said, "Oh, do you know what? I haven't seen Fawlty Towers for years, so actually, this was fun. I remember those bits, but not that well." So
Yeah.
that is also something to take into account.
But the Only Fools and Horses musical was a huge success, wasn't it? You know,
Yes, it was.
we are not typical sitcom consumers.
Yeah. I think the performances were all great. Let's look at the positives. The performances were great. They are not exactly impressions. You wouldn't go, "Oh, wow, that's an amazing Sybil Fawlty impression." It's not. But it's that character. It's the same character. They're not doing anything new with it. They're not putting a new twist on it.
Okay.
And they're just doing enough of an impression that it follows.
Who is the cast, Alan? You mentioned the Major earlier, and I happen to know the Major was he's a bit of an old sitcom stalwart, isn't he?
Yeah, Paul Nicholas as the Major is basically the only name I knew in any respect, certainly from Sitcom. Just Good Friends he's best known for in Sitcom world. All the other actors are just kind of working actors and theatre people, a bit of TV work. No names, really, no big names.
Well, again, that's following the Only Fools and Horses model, isn't it? Because you had Paul Whitehouse in the Grandad role, and then the other actors were, you know, we recognise their faces, but they weren't big actors.
You don't need a name to sell it. The Fawlty Towers is selling it, so you can put whoever you want in.
Sell it, yeah.
Exactly. Paul Nicholas, it's a nice little role playing the Major. You know, he's pushing 80 as Paul Nicholas. That's a nice job when you're that age because it's not too strenuous. Doesn't do much, just pops in, just like the Major pops in, does his little bit. You've got the two old ladies there who live in the hotel. I did notice they were played by people who are obviously younger than they were supposed to be. I suspect they are the understudies for Polly and Sybil as well. Just a guess. I don't know that, but you know, that tallies. And then there's an ensemble of several other actors kind of playing the guests. You've got someone who plays Mrs. Richards specifically. You've got someone who plays Mr. Hutchinson specifically. And then, you know, all the others is just like, oh, they pop in, have a few lines, and kind of then next scene they're playing someone else. And it's fine, you know, performance-wise, yeah, no problem with that. I think the setting was really nice. It just looked like the lobby/dining area of Fawlty Towers, and it never changed. Nothing moved, as opposed to Only Fools and Horses, where they do some very interesting set movement things. Yeah. It was just very basic, very simple, but not in a way that felt lazy, in a way that felt like they've sitcomized it. It all takes place in a very small space, and we're going to take advantage of that. Yeah. But that means we don't get anything in the kitchen or anything like that. No Terry, I noticed. Terry the chef from Series 2. Yeah, they just didn't worry about that at all. So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you expect this to be. So in that sense, you want to go and see it, you know what you're going to get. Don't expect anything to surprise you.
I've got to ask, like, of all, you know, we talked about the casting, not doing impressions, all that sort of stuff, but what about Manuel?
Well, Manuel, obviously, you know, you get an English guy to play, or German guy in Andrew Sachs's case, but a British guy, to play a Spaniard. Could you do that these days? Doing funny foreigner stuff?
Well, we talked about this when we covered Fawlty Towers, didn't we? Probably not, but I you know, look, let's be honest. He's Spanish. If he was Indian, it would be different. You can argue why it shouldn't be different, but it is different. We all know it. Yeah, yeah. So who have they got playing Manuel then?
Actually, the guy who plays Manuel is called Hemi Yeraham. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I bet you're not.
That is not a beautiful Spanish name, as you may have guessed. He's Turkish originally.
Well, they're all the same, aren't they? All the same.
I mean, he's been in Britain for many years, as far as I understand.
But he's swarthy, Alan. He's swarthy, Mediterranean good looks. That'll
Mediterranean good looks. But yeah, as Manuel, he is from Barcelona. That is mentioned specifically. So it's not like they've just made him Turkish or anything.
They've not retconned.
But it's not like he's trying to didn't seem to make a great effort to do the accent. I guess you don't have to. He was just doing a funny foreign accent. It wasn't that specific.
Not Catalan.
No. And it's not his own accent. It's not just doing Turkish accent either, because I've heard him talk in interviews and things. Really, honestly, actors doing a great job. Good on them. Yeah. To be fair as well, like I said, this was opening night, technically a preview. With that in mind, I thought it was very smooth. There was one sound cue that was like, "Ooh, that went a bit wrong," but it wasn't like a major catastrophe or anything.
I have an inside baseball question for you as an actor. What's a preview? Like, what does that mean, really?
Well, for a big West End run like this, your preview is going to be best part of a week. And it basically means this is the first time we're doing it in front of an audience, so things might go a bit tits up.
Okay.
And, you know, after a rehearsal process, you might not have even had that many opportunities to do a full dress run. So there's just lots of things that can go wrong, the tech coming in, or suddenly... there were several things that kind of went wrong, so to speak, in the show, as in, like... as they walked past this table, they knocked the menu over and it fell on the floor. And so just in character, someone picks it up, puts it back on the table. But it's that sort of thing that you go, oh, actually, we're going to have to move those tables a couple inches further apart because we keep getting problems with that. Things like that don't really come to fruition until you're on a stage, you know exactly where the spacing is. And then there's lots of things in terms of flow and pacing, particularly for comedy, that really do work in front of an audience. And this is the one thing I thought, as well as Fawlty Towers, that with it being farce, I think that is something that works better on stage than on TV.
We have discussed this at length.
But what we get here in Fawlty Towers is not really very farcical. The episodes we're getting, it's not about like, oh, as I walk through this door, you come through that one, and the timing is perfect, and then this happens, or that falls off, and then... Like, the play that goes wrong is probably a very current example of, like, just great farce.
Yeah.
Because it's great because it's all very slickly choreographed, and it's just amazing that they actually kind of make it work and to make things look like they're going wrong and doing it right. You know what I mean?
I do.
What we get in Fawlty Towers, the play, is not really any of that. It's just the sort of frenetic, fast-paced element of farce without any of the physical stuff. So you've not even got that kind of awe of theatre, like the wonder of, like, great craftsmanship. So I didn't even get that, to be honest. You know. So yeah, I think I'm being a bit negative, but that was my feeling. It was just like, well, bleh, what's the point? I don't get it. If you want to go and see Fawlty Towers, the play, I think you know what you're going to get, and that's all right. Will it last, though, Gareth? I think they're currently scheduled to be on until like September or October.
Okay.
What do you reckon? Do you think they'll get a
Yeah, I think it will. I think.
continuation?
Listen, yeah, you've the one who's seen it, not me. So I'm not going to try and defend its quality. But like I said before, I don't think you and I are typical sitcom consumers, and most people will think, "Oh, Fawlty Towers, I used to love that. Oh, I remember I saw that. I haven't seen that for 20 years. I'll go and watch that," and they'll have a great time.
I'm not convinced. Because I think if we're comparing this to The Obvious, which is Only Fools and Horses, the musical, that's a musical, and that makes a big difference. It's a whole new creative element that's been added in.
I understand.
And it gives you something new to connect to. Where this feels like going to watch an Amdram group doing a stage adaptation of an old show, which is fine and fun in its own way, but can that exist on the West End? Okay, the performances are probably better, you know, like fair enough.
I think we talked about this when we did Only Fools and Horses. That who are the customers? You know, who are the people who are going to come and see it? It's not. There's obviously people who live in London, but it's going to be people who are coming down for the weekend and making it a show. Oh, we're going to go and see the musical. Does Fawlty Towers sound like quite the same sort of destination? I don't know. It's really hard to put myself in the position of someone who's not sitcom obsessed.
Yeah, but there we go. It'll be interesting to see. Some reviews are going to start coming in, and we'll start to get the feedback. I wonder if people will go on about it as much as me. About it's just lazy. It is lazy. A lazy adaptation, but well put together by the people actually doing it. So, you know.
Okay.
So that's a little bonus episode for you, just because we've been up to that recently. We are currently working on a new series, and hopefully not too far away. Now, these things, life gets in the way. We're busy with other things, real life that actually, are jobs that earn us money. So, unfortunately, we have been a bit delayed on the series.
And Alan, you're rehearsing your one-man show. You're at the Brighton Fringe, and you're going to Edinburgh, right?
That is correct. I'm doing a few shows. I've written my own one-person show that I am performing, and it'll be going up very soon in Brighton, and then I'm doing Edinburgh in August as well. It's called Bonding. It's about James Bond and masculinity and how our masculinity has changed over the years. But it's very funny and very emotional.
I think if people enjoy listening to us talk about this stuff, they'll enjoy it. So if you do find yourself in Edinburgh, look up Alan and Bonding.
Yes. But look up Cyril Blake, because that's my name.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he has like 3 different names. Cyril Blake's Bonding.
My actor name is Cyril Blake, so look up that and you'll find me. Tom Allen, the comedian, he's in Equity. I can't have that name.
Yeah. So, listen, Alan's went into it with an open mind and has come out with it with equally open mind. But I think people should go see it. I think if they're listening to this, they're probably sitcom fans, and go and give it a try.
All right, thank you very much for listening, and we will bid you adieu until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.